Welcome to Libtards and Shai. Here, we discuss liberalism and what's stopping its progress, all while drinking way too much Arabic tea, which is called Shai. So, come on in. So, Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade.
It's gone.
Very gone. Dead as fuck.
It is dead as fuck.
It is
The
dead
opposite of
an abortion.
an abortion.
Yeah. They aborted the abortion thing.
They aborted the abortion. There is something to be said in the wake of this, let's just call it, return to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little ironic that's coming from the branch of, from the section of small government.
Right. The state.
Some style ironic.
Yeah,
like,
you can't.
don't tell me what to do.
Don't tell me to put a mask on. Don't tell me to put a vaccine in my body.
My body, my choice does not apply in this scenario.
Right. But then, what seems to be, as two guys,
Yeah.
we've had the convenient reality of not having humans grow inside of us, and then having to, shit that thing out and then destroy our pussy, So, speaking from somebody who does not get pregnant, I would just say that I'd be just a little teeny weeny irked if I had to keep that thing, keep a baby when I didn't want to.
I'd be irked. Yeah.
There's a real question at hand here, because as Clarence Thomas made it very clear, he's not.
Oh, Clarence Thomas, doy. Oy.
This is where we need a black guy to call him what he is.
Not us.
Not us.
We're not going to say it.
Yes. But I mean, to be honest, but in truth, I'm going to say it. As, a cultural Muslim, as an Arab person, there's a lot of Uncle Toms that can present in our community who somehow support surveillance or support the necessity of the state having basically unlimited surveillance rights to police our community and our extreme elements. Even though there's no evidence to show that it has actually worked, Clarence Thomas is a Uncle Tom. I have never seen somebody actively rule in cases that disproportionately harm black people more than this man.
He gives zero fucks.
And what's hilarious is his Nazi terrorist wife, his white Nazi terrorist wife, who, planned a coup d'etat and tried to overthrow a democratically elected American government, somehow still walks free. Somehow he's still on the bench. And the sickest, cruelest piece of irony is this motherfucker replaced Thurgood Marshall, which is the first black Supreme Court justice ever. And he replaced him at the age of 42, which is why he has been ruling on this court for 30 years, and he's only 72, and he's probably got another 10
He's in good health.
Good years, maybe 15 more years left.
He's in good health.
Now you're wondering here, for the people out there, we did a lot of research on how to basically fight back on a political level. There's a lot of stuff that we discovered, and there's a lot of sentiment out there that somehow this is it. This is peak conservatism, that it will stop here. And it will not stop here.
It's the worst we've seen in our lifetime. Sure.
It is the worst we have seen in our lifetime.
When we started looking into this shit, I definitely felt that way.
But this did not happen by accident.
No.
Or by luck.
No.
And it did not get planned 5 years ago.
No.
It got planned 50 years ago.
Yeah.
This is a crusade that began to gut abortion rights in America since the second Roe v. Wade happened.
Since 73.
And that's the attorney who fought against Roe v. Wade is saying this on the record. And the evangelical movement of all the leaders in this movement on the record are saying that this is the active policy of our organizations.
Made it his life's mission.
So the question we have to ask is, are we going to violently coup the government? Us, liberals who don't like guns and tend to not support wars or militarism.
We're not allowed to.
We're not winning this revolution.
We don't have enough bear hats.
And are we going to pretend
armor.
that the court is magically going to come to its senses, or this corporate Democratic Party is magically going to come to its senses and start ruling in our interests? Obviously, the answer is no. So it leaves us with a beckoning question, because Clarence Thomas clearly stated that he's going after Griswold, which is the Supreme Court case that guaranteed the right to have access to contraception. And he's going to go after Obergefell, which is the case that guaranteed the right to having a same-sex marriage. It will not stop here. This court is so radically beyond the pale right wing that it will not stop here.
Now, this is the snowball. The avalanche is coming.
Right. What the hell do you do? Well, first of all, you have to get the notion out of our head that we're going to flip the script in one election cycle.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got to get him in the midterms. Like, great start. Fine.
Great start.
Cool.
We're
still fucked.
There is a complete...
Not to sound too cynical.
No. There's a complete sense... It's not cynical if it's true. There is a complete sense that we are fucked. And I want to reframe that. We are fucked right now. Politics is an infinite game. And the system, whatever it turns into, whether it's democratic or the autocratic system that Trump wants to have, the system will exist long after we're gone. The real question is not we're fucked, we lost, we're losing. We're getting fucked as we speak.
Game's not over.
The game is only over when you quit. And there seems to be a lot of fucking quitting. Not just after Roe, not just before it. But here are some stats. Because right now, 70% of Americans did not want Roe v. Wade overturned. That is not a majority.
Which I did not know going into this.
That is right. That is not a majority. That is a mandate.
Yeah.
That is a mandate from the American people.
To get a population of 330 million
to agree on anything
is insane. To agree on anything with a 70% margin.
If I woke up in the morning and tweeted good morning, I'd have a good 30% of them would
say, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck your morning.
Yeah, fuck your morning, you white
fuck
privileged fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Even though I'm not even white.
You're not even white.
And there is...
They just assume.
Because
you had a good morning.
They haven't seen my nose yet. That's why. There is a sense of what needs to be asked is, first of all, there will be plenty of episodes about this. There's the idea of voter suppression.
It's not an idea.
And it's alive and well in America.
It's a strategy.
It is a straight up strategy, and it is alive and well. Right. As of right now, on average, about 68% of Americans vote in presidential elections, and about 50% of eligible voters vote in the midterms.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where the disparity happens. Most young people tend to be poorer, tend to be more left-leaning, tend to be more pro-abortion. And older people tend to be more conservative, tend to be richer, and also tend to be
anti-abortion.
More likely to be anti-abortion. On average, and especially in the most recent elections, around 72% of people older than 65 vote.
Which made sense. That number didn't shock me.
And 46% in presidential elections of people ages 18 to 29 vote.
That number shocked me.
To put this into perspective, the government...
I thought we'd at least break 50.
Nope. And this is what it means. For people who say, voting doesn't matter. This is what this means. It straight up means that per groups, and I'm not even saying these groups are the same size. They're probably not, because the baby boomer generation is larger than us. But it is straight up saying that the number of young people in America that the government actually hears, that it actually cares about, is only 46% of capacity of what eligible voters can say. If you are, imagine yourself a congressman, and you're in a district, and the 80% of people want to have a right to an abortion. But those 80% of people who want a right to an abortion don't vote. Guess who wants to ban abortion now?
The 20%.
The 20% and the congressman who got voted in by them.
They're louder.
In the end, people always say...
fucking louder.
then people say, Congress is so old. The average age of a congressman is 66.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. There's a reason it's so old. And more importantly...
people like who they identify with.
There is a sense that, Congress is supposed to represent the American people. But it doesn't.
As we've learned.
As we have learned. Congress doesn't represent or is not proportional based off the American people. It is a representative, in theory at least, of the American voter. To disenfranchise someone, as we have done with minorities historically, is to eliminate them from the political process.
Which is why the majority of our congressional leaders are WASPs, or whatever the acronym in. White,
right.
Anglo-Saxon, male Protestant.
Right.
Even today's age.
Even today's age. I mean, think about it. There is the idea of like boycotting a vote, which is so absurd. It is so absurd, and young people believe in it, obviously, because 54% of young people don't vote. So either they boycott it, they don't care, they think the political process doesn't matter. If young people voted today, just as much as old people, which is only 70%, that's not 100%, America would fundamentally be a different place. Even in the broken system, even with voter suppression, even with the irrepresentative, even with gerrymandering,
literally overnight. If we had 100% of people 18-25 to vote, it'd be insane.
It would be insane. So there's people who say that they're going to not vote because both candidates are shit. Really?
Yeah.
Is Clinton? For the people who didn't vote for Clinton because she was not perfect enough. How do you like her now?
It's a hell of a lot better than the
How do you like her now?
Yeah.
I'm an Arab guy and she supported the Iraq War. How do you fucking like her now? If I can tell you that she would have been better than Trump with what she's fucking done, with what her husband has done to Glass-Steagall.
She's done some heinous shit, too.
She's done some heinous shit.
Yeah.
But you know what she wouldn't do? Put 3 radical, ultra-conservative, ultra-Catholic nut jobs who are detached from constitutional democratic values, and they would not have overturned Roe v. Wade. She would have gotten 3 justices instead of Trump getting 3 justices. We would have had a liberal court to last.
She might have gotten 1 justice because Democrats are pussies, but that's a different conversation.
Better than 3 nut jobs.
Plus 1's better than -3.
Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Garrett are not Republican. They are not even conservative.
Nah,
they are so beyond the pale right.
Yeah.
They are so beyond the pale right.
I don't know if alt-right's still a thing, but like if it was, it's them.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is like you are with a girl, and this girl is a little wild. She likes to, suck your dick a lot. Yeah, she's a little fun. You know?
Like in public, maybe like while you're driving.
Right.
In the bathroom of a restaurant.
That's your typical, Reagan, Bush, Republican.
Yeah.
Okay. Trump's justices are the girls who like to bite your dick off.
Yeah.
In public.
Yeah, they're the ones that come through with a strap on and say, "Put this apple in your mouth, bitch."
Right.
And then you're like, "Huh?"
And why? Well, this is how the framers intended this Constitution to work. And that's why.
Why? Because I'm an originalist. Now bend over. Yeah.
There is the most frustrating idea, which is that Americans shouldn't vote or that there's such a thing as a boycott vote. You cannot boycott a vote. When you don't vote, you mathematically increase my vote.
It's one of the most oxymoronic things
It is insane. And now we come to a question of what the fuck do we do as a political movement? Yeah. Where do we start?
Get out the vote didn't fucking work.
Right. And that's...
I'm sorry, but Aaron Paul tweeting didn't do it.
Nope.
Shocking. I know why.
I don't know why.
Thought? Yeah.
Who would have thought a guy in Hollywood who plays a fucking meth head? Brilliantly, by the way.
Great meth head. He's an A1 meth head.
Phenomenal
meth head. My favorite meth head. I will
Not
go on record
great
saying...
at saving democratic institutions, though.
No, yeah. Did you see that fucking embarrassing ass video where he's like in black and white after the George Floyd thing and he's like, "I take responsibility." I'm like, fucking for what?
What did you do?
What did you do? Now I'm suspicious.
What did you do? Are you friends with Derek Chauvin?
When I was going over fucking systemic racism, them getting barred from the GI Bill, the Homestead Act, all the voter suppressions going on, I wasn't thinking, what the fuck did Aaron Paul do to these motherfuckers? That was not my first thought. I did not think, what did Jesse from Breaking Bad do to black people?
God damn it, you son of a bitch.
After you did that, now I blame you. It's all on you now, asshole.
Yeah, this is why you shouldn't smoke meth.
Yeah. This is why people still quote The Wire and not Breaking Bad.
Right. You know, there is an idea that I had. It's not just me. It's something that plenty of people have.
Other countries do it.
Other countries do it.
It's crazy.
And we in our research on where do we start? This entire show is kind of built off the idea of how do we reclaim New Deal liberalism.
Yeah.
In the social justice era. To include actually like everybody, not just white people.
Yeah. So to summarize that, basically do the same shit that FDR did, but actually include Black people.
Yes.
Not ban them.
Not ban them exclusively. Right.
Do it for everyone. Like a democracy.
That doesn't have an apartheid regime.
Yeah. Like that thing that you were told in first grade?
That you believed?
We kind of want to make it
real.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Or at least take a shot at it.
See, like you're at 4th of July party, you see the fireworks.
Yeah.
And instead of thinking about, damn, we must have dropped a lot of these things that sound like fireworks on a lot of people. Instead of thinking of that, why can't we think of a beautiful America that we create?
Damn. We used to bomb them. Now they can vote.
Right. Like, how about instead of having an America where you celebrate 4th of July and have to morally question whether you should even be celebrating 4th of July, why don't we live up to the ideas that we actually proclaim?
Or like if you're
and
like
earn that 4th of July.
If you're a wage worker who gets time and a half on Juneteenth and you're white, you got to go, ugh.
Yes.
Should I keep the half?
Yes. No.
That's where reparations should come from.
That's where the time and a half.
White people don't get time and a half on Juneteenth. Black people get double. That's a start. We'll go there.
So this episode is a political strategy. It is a thesis and an idea to starting a political win.
It is admittedly a wild idea.
Yes.
That if I'm a betting person, which I'm not, but if I had to bet, it's not going to happen within the next 20 years.
I will say this to counter that. 20 years ago, gay marriage was unheard of. Running as a candidate who's gay was impossible. You would never get elected. Running as a candidate who doesn't believe in God, you were unelectable.
Fair.
Insulting religion straight up ended your career.
Fair.
And of course, women in the Senate.
Yeah.
What?
What would they wear? No skirts here.
And what about their periods, even though they're 75?
Can we trust them? Like, they're good, bro.
Yeah, man.
They're more calm than you.
It's true. So, here it is. I think that the first step that we should make is we should get our houses in order. And what I mean as liberals is that we have to look at a Gallup poll and see that actually liberals are only 25% of the population. Now, when you ask, hey, do you believe in universal health care? Those numbers go up.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means the term liberal has a bad PR.
Does it? It's like this, kind of like the term socialist.
Right. Has a bad PR.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it does.
Or sheep boots.
I don't know why we can't say as liberal, sheep boots.
Sheep boots. That doesn't poll well, I'm assuming.
What the fuck are sheep boots?
I didn't tell you about sheep boots?
I think you have.
We're going to get derailed for a second here, but you need to know.
Oh, wait. What the hell are sheep boots?
Sheep boots are...
Okay, Jesus. That tone.
This is a this is a bedtime story my dad
told
me.
Last time I heard that tone, that was not a good day. All right, let's hear it.
That's
Sheep boots.
It's a bedtime story my dad told me. He was in the Army and Fort Bragg, Georgia, right? That's where he was stationed. And he bounced around the South, goes home, is on leave, goes to a vacation spot.
Okay.
Or goes to his buddy's house.
Gotcha.
On leave, right? And they tell him about sheep boots. Because they're like, what should we do tonight? I was like, I got a pair of sheep boots. We can go there. I was like, what the fuck are sheep boots? And he explains to my father. And my father then tells me this as a child. Before going to bed. Said sheep boots are boots that are 2 to 3 sizes too big. That you put the back hooves of the sheep in. So it doesn't get away.
Oh, God.
Night, son. Slams the door. That was the whole thing. That was a bedtime story that I heard as a child.
I love how your dad, who is not from the South,
Not from the South.
spoke
Not
from
from the South.
accent.
Not from the South. He did that accent. I had to do that accent. It's like an involuntary reflex.
Oh, no, you have to.
So, I didn't sleep. No, you won't sleep. Congratulations.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Anyways,
This is why liberals don't pull well.
Yeah. Anyways, your point. Liberals. The word liberal is equivalent to the phrase sheep boots.
Right.
In the American zeitgeist.
And what's strange to me is I don't know why we as liberals don't own up to what we've done. Liberals ended slavery.
Facts.
A Republican president ended slavery.
Yeah.
Is what they would respond with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say, a liberal Republican president would end slavery.
Yeah.
What happened to liberal Republicans?
Yeah.
Where
Because
did they
that's a
go?
narrative they love doing. They'd be like, Democrats wanted slavery.
Where did liberal Republicans go? What happened to them? They used to exist in the party.
They did.
What did they do that was so offensive to the Republican Party that they were ostensibly removed from it over the next 30 to 40 years?
Free black people.
They freed black people.
1.
They gave black people the vote.
2.
They gave women the vote.
3.
They created Social Security and Medicare.
4.
They created the Clean and Air, the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. They passed the Civil Rights Act. They ended segregation.
5, 6,
they passed
7.
the Voting Registration Act or the Voting Rights Act.
They did some shit.
We did some shit. We did some shit. And of course, we passed the Glass-Steagall Act and created the Federal Reserve,
Yeah.
which regulated the banking apparatus.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is it that we are, as liberals, are tarnished? Well, one of it is a lot of the people who are liberal are not involved in the political process.
Oh.
And this is how we get them involved. Because when people vote, they send signals. Voting is not a zero-sum game.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose 49 to 51,
That's a signal.
That is a signal.
You were on thin ice, buddy.
Right. That is not the same. The congressman who wins that district with that margin is not the same as somebody who wins it 2080.
He's on thin ice. That guy fucks up, he's out.
So this is where we start.
Because it's super easy to swing 2 points.
Easy.
Fucking hard to swing from 76 to 46. So whatever the percentage of old people to young people is.
Right. And so we have a situation where we have liberal bastions in America. New York City, or the state of New York,
California.
Illinois, California. Now, these are democratic states. Washington is a democratic state. That does not mean it's a liberal one.
Is not, no.
There are liberals in it.
That is a fat distinction we are going to make very clearly.
Yes.
Between Democrats and liberals.
California is a democratic state. It is a democratic monopoly state. It owns the trifecta.
Yeah, there isn't a
Assembly, Senate,
significant
governorship.
Republican presence in California. I would
Right.
say.
Now
I think it's growing, unfortunately,
it is growing.
which is terrifying.
But there is a reality to be had here, which is that most Democrats are not liberals by name.
No.
And most liberals are not involved in the political process. Here's how you get them involved. There is a saying that you can bring a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink.
I've heard that.
You can tie the horse down, put a pipe in its throat, and pump water in its stomach. Welcome to mandatory voting.
Okay. Kinky.
Ooh. Now, this is not a bunch of morons who just thought about forcing everyone to vote. First of all, there are several countries, the Netherlands, Belgium, Australia, Turkey,
Yeah.
hilariously Egypt, even though I don't know what they're voting for, that have mandatory voting. But we are going to look at...
It kind of works.
Yeah, it kind of works.
It's not perfect.
CC wins every time. So it does work. We're going to look at Australia and Belgium, but predominantly Australia.
I respect one of those countries.
Belgium.
Yeah. One's got waffles and beer. The other one's got fucking like you hear the boot thing? They like chug beer out of a boot.
It's not a sheep boot though, right?
It's not a sheep. Nah, it's just a regular Aussie boot.
Oh God!
But it's like it's disgusting.
That is disgusting.
I don't respect you as a country. I like your democratic process.
Yes, I do.
I'm gonna take some of that. I like your gun control too. Separate episode, but I'd like some of that.
I do. I like their women.
You are biased for that.
I am.
Yeah. As liberal as you are, you have one of the most conservative Aryan taste in-sex partner.
Blonde hair, tight ass.
Blonde hair,
baby.
tight ass.
Oh,
It's
God.
crazy.
It is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is
Your roster is essentially just a lacrosse team.
It is. Yes. Or a yacht club.
Or a yacht club.
Or a soon-to-be yacht club at
Yeah.
the age, you know.
What's the inherit?
You know, so in the 1920s, Australia adopted a compulsory voting model. And right now, they have what is called an effective voting percentage of around 92%.
Which is crazy.
An effective percentage means people who actually cast an effective ballot. An effective ballot is basically a ballot that is not filled out, so it's disqualified, or they're voting for a joke candidate.
Yeah.
You know, so they have an effective.
You know how like when you were 18, you wrote in your buddy?
No. I'm talking about like people will run like a dog, and they'll vote for that, like 2%,
like the kid in 2015 who got on the ballot as D's nuts,
right? Exactly.
in like Idaho or something.
Exactly.
Hilarious. The kid's a fucking legend.
That is a legend. Yeah. So you have a situation on your hand where they basically have an effective voting percentage of 92%. And here's the result: if you don't vote, you get fined $20. So about 92% of people vote. And some kids don't fucking, you know, a lot of people probably don't do the research and they vote anyways. But because the majority of people vote and the majority of people tend to be moderates, the society is not polarized, which is why Australia has some of the lowest polarization rates among the political spectrum. Here's something interesting.
Despite their brash, drunken ways,
right,
they're not screaming at each other like we are.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we have a case to bring forward to the American liberal, especially to the American political movement for liberals, which is that we should take places like California that have proposition systems, like we can draft our own laws and then put them on the ballot.
Yeah.
And we should take the 900,000 signatures required, and we should pose a constitutional amendment to the state of California's constitution to make mandatory voting by constitutional amendment law
in California,
and make automatic voter registration and ensure that everybody has access to voting.
Yeah.
Which California, by the way, is the gold standard for voting access. Like, there is no...
As of right now, yeah.
Right.
100%.
Like, young people don't vote in California, despite there being virtually no form of voter suppression in California.
Where we are right now in LA, we are, what?
I am, first of all...
Stone's throw away within 9 different voting centers.
And you can't walk anywhere in LA.
Yeah.
And I can actually walk to these places.
Yeah.
You know? So you have... compulsory voting basically automatically takes in young people. Now, people say, well, you can't force people to... You know, I can't get people to think about their own best interests or fight for their best, interests or convince them to fight for their best interests. But I can always force them to vote.
Yeah.
And when people are forced to vote, maybe they'll take it as a joke when they're 18. Maybe they'll fuck around when they're 20. But by the time they're 25, they have built a habit of voting.
Filling out a ballot every year.
And then they're going to realize,
twice a year.
Oh, hey, I'm getting screwed over. Every 2 years, not twice a year.
Every 2 years.
Unless it's a special election, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
But it's just like, hey, I'm getting screwed over by this or that, or I don't like this, and I'm already voting. Maybe I should pay attention. Now, not everyone's going to do that, but the percentage is going to be a lot higher.
A lot higher than the 40 or something. Or whatever. 68 if we're doing in total.
California the state of California
will become radically more liberal.
Exactly.
If this gets passed.
Because young people are now voting. Young people who don't have property.
Yeah.
Young people who are poor, who have debt, who have no public transport options, who are being phased out of the market.
Yeah. Now, realistically, let's say tomorrow we got this shit on the ballot for the upcoming election in November. They're going to countersue, probably in Orange County.
Yes.
Because they get to choose the battleground where they do that.
Yes.
So they get to choose the district and the circuit which it gets reviewed.
Yes.
I think is the word on the judge. And it's probably going to get struck down as unconstitutional.
Yes.
And that's why we take...
even though by the way, if we're talking even though we're talking about in theory, it's not. There is the Harvard Law School or the Harvard Law Review basically created a hypothetical simulation for a case, and they basically argued
they wrote an article.
Right, they wrote an article in 2007, so this is an old idea, you know. And I'm quoting it here when it says a compulsory voting regime could be narrowly tailored by allowing people to abstain, or perhaps to obtain a conscientious objector exemption what's it called? From even submitting a ballot. So in essence, what
which
it's saying...
Which circumvents the First Amendment violation argument.
That no voting is a form of speech.
Mm-hmm.
You basically provide them the opportunity to abstain or conscientiously object. And between you and me, we can make getting that paper as hard as trying to quit a gym membership. Yeah.
Do you know how like you get those emails from Tilly's still? Because when you bought them like a t-shirt there when you were 14.
Right.
And you have to like scroll at the bottom, hit that tiny ass unsubscribe button, go to 19 different websites, solve a fucking Hellraiser puzzle.
Right.
Sell your grandma's social security number to unsubscribe from a fucking newsletter. Sorry. We can make it that difficult.
We can make it difficult.
So in theory, once it gets passed,
and let's say it gets struck down by the courts because these courts are corrupt, and it will.
It will absolutely get struck down at
every
single level of the court.
Survive. It will go to the California Supreme Court,
the
California Supreme Court will rule in its favor. Then it'll go to the Federal Circuit, and the Ninth Circuit may or may not rule in its favor. Now there is a chance that in the federal system that it will survive because.
It depends.
A lot of the policies that they are built off are returning fundamental rights for the federal government to the states and allowing states to govern. So if they do this, they are basically creating precedents that stop them against their that stops them against like basically regulating people through state laws or obstructing rights through state laws. Now let's say this law is struck down completely. We can still create what are called micro legislation, in which you pass using hundreds of laws, microscopic portions of the law, and have to have hundreds of suits on it, basically flooding the system.
Even if that's not the goal, even if you do that though, the main point of getting it on the ballot is so it gets struck down.
Right.
Because this is going to make headlines.
Exactly.
And if we put this into the mainstream, it's going to do something. Basically what the idea is, you take the Roe v. Wade model that conservatives use, and you apply it towards mandatory voting. This should be liberals' Roe v. Wade. Push this shit for the next 30 years.
Right.
Till it actually comes true.
There's
because in 1973, no one in their right fucking mind thought Roe v. Wade would ever get overturned. No one thought Roe v. Wade was going to get overturned 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But they didn't give up.
Right. They and so there's even if this law it cannot be struck down, we can pass other laws that make it as easy or make it de facto mandatory to basically vote in California or in Illinois or Washington or New Mexico. They did this with abortion. They have been striking down and removing and limiting abortion clinics in America through creative state laws all across the country. And we could do the same thing with mandatory voting.
They've been trying to do that for the past 4 years.
They want to reduce the number of voters, and we are going to pump them up.
Which is a huge indication of where we're at.
That we're right?
If one party wants to reduce the number of people voting,
party believes in democracy.
Yeah.
And the other party doesn't.
One party's like, hey, everyone should have a say. And one party's like, no. And then they gaslight you into thinking they're protecting you.
Right.
With voter ID laws and all that fucking bullshit.
Which, again, the Trump Homeland Security Department stated that the 2020 election was the most secure election in the history of America. And that there is virtually a 0.00000. That's, I hope I counted 5 zeros. 8%.
I don't count. I don't do math, but I believe you.
Voting fraud rate. Voter ID is a solution to a problem that was invented for the reduction of certain types of voters. Okay?
Black
voters. And so there needs to be this fight. This is the hill we die on. I don't care if you are a climate change guy, or you're big on abortion, or trans rights, or you care about unionization. None of that shit matters.
It doesn't really do.
There is a hierarchy of needs. Okay? There is a hierarchy of needs. We should fix the country economically before we fix it socially, and so on and so forth. But we cannot do any of that.
Because no one gives a fuck about your social problems until I can put food in my kids' mouth.
My kids, exactly.
And I cannot go bankrupt from having a cold.
Right. And so we have the first hierarchy of need. That is the right to vote. And guess what? We were 2 senators short of passing the For the People Act, which is an episode in the future. We can fight for it again. We can fight for that law again. We were 2 senators short. We can get it again.
It's already written.
We are slowly being gerrymandered and voter suppressed out of the system to a point in which a clear majority of moderates and liberals together, a clear majority is being ruled by a minority. You not voting harms not just yourself or your community and family and friends. It is also a threat to democracy. And this should be the hill we die on. This is the hill we should be dying on. We should be passing as many laws to make voting, if not in law for states, then by fact, de facto, mandatory. We can make laws where saying you can't get a driver's license unless you've shown that you've voted.
Or at least you've registered to vote.
Or that you've registered to vote.
Yeah.
Or so on and so forth.
How about we just pass automatic voter registration?
Or have automatic.
So
we make it as easy as possible.
Circumvent a huge hill.
Right. There is so many ways. We can have all kinds of state tax write-offs that are only available if you vote.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Basically, if you want to have your, like, the state of California has a interest mortgage reduction program on top of the federal program. You don't get access to that unless you vote. How about when you rent, to submit for rental insurance, you probably and there's so many laws that can be passed. Basically, we should be writing these bullshit laws in our states. We cannot go federal until we get our houses in order. And this show,
because there's no model for success.
Right. In this show, we're going to be
talking...
talking...
It's way easier to start in California than it is in fucking Ohio.
And California's not perfect.
No.
This show, we're going to be spending a lot of episodes,
especially
shitting on California and how it has failed its democratic, liberal values. And we need to start here. We need to win here. We need liberal policies here. California should have public transport. California should have Medi-Cal for all. California should have unionization, strong teaching, the best in education. We should be winning in these fields.
We should be the shining city on a hill.
Right.
That the rest of the country looks at and goes, oh, fuck. What are they doing?
Right. I am a coastal elite. I really am.
Very.
The problem with being a coastal elite nowadays is it's very hard to argue. It's very hard to argue. It really is.
It is hard to argue.
I used to be able to argue much more easily, back when I didn't understand things, before I did research. Oh, we're better. And we are better. Because we live near an ocean. I mean, we have post-nut clarity.
8 months out of the year. Post-nut clarity weather, 8 months out of the year,
better.
Dude.
We're better, we're smarter, we're hotter, we're better. That's my voting model.
You didn't have to throw in, we're hotter. Let's just rub it in, dude.
Well, okay. The hotter is... Come on. Have you ever heard of
no, it's true.
California 10?
No, it's like there's an LA 8, which is a New York 10.
Right.
I don't know
the conversion rate.
I don't know the conversion rate.
But you know what it is? As a Californian, I would really like to earn my ego. I'd like to earn it again.
Yeah.
And we have to get our houses in order. And if you are a liberal in America and you're mad at what's going on in the political system and you're not voting, you are the problem. Not just the only one. You're not the only one, but you are a problem.
Yeah.
And
I did not vote in the last presidential election. I didn't vote in the 2016 election.
That's a fuck up. Because by the way,
no, I couldn't vote in the 2012 election.
Right, too young. But I mean, there's first of all, like I said, between a 49 and a 51%, that's a signal.
Yeah.
When you vote, even when you lose an election, you signal to liberals in the political sphere that there is actually a space for you to exist politically here.
Yeah.
When you participate in the vote in the ballot, you're not just voting for the president. You're voting for congressmen, senators, judges, governors, mayors, city councilmen, controllers, county assessors, clerks.
Your local DA.
Which
has way more fucking impact on you than the president.
Okay? Sheriffs. Huge impact on you. School boards.
Yep.
Superintendents, water district managers.
Yep.
These are huge roles, and these direct votes. And by the way, only like 20,000 people vote in them. These are huge.
Oh, when you start doing the percentages for voter turnout, those it drops to like the 30s and 20s.
Yeah,
dude. It's crazy.
It's so much influence.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're a liberal and you get a call from a research company or a pollster, pick it up. You are one of 1,000, like 1,000, representing an entire state or an entire country. Your voice is louder in polls than it is in the ballot box. If you want your voice heard, do polls. Do polls. Because right now, the only people who do polls are old people who have nothing to do. And guess what? You're also young and you have nothing to do. Okay? So you should be picking up polls if you can. They take like 10 minutes. But more importantly, this is not a charity game. Conservatives did not ban Roe v. Wade on charity. They did not do it through, come on, people, let's get it. Let's work together. No, they rewrote the voting laws. They got people out of the voting sphere. They convinced people that the election system doesn't work. They lied. They scared the shit out of you. They won elections. They
played dirty.
They wrote state legislative laws to make abortion, if not by law, by fact, illegal, all the way until from 1973 to 2022. They got it.
They're the bad boy Pistons.
They're the bad boy fucking Pistons.
Yeah.
And my God, they play some marvelous defense.
Amazing defense.
You know, and if you think,
but they don't have the talent.
No, we have the popular ideas.
They have no ideas.
They have no ideas.
They have zero ideas.
Let's just make it worse for
Isn't Mitch McConnell on record saying that, like, I'm just going to say no to everything liberals do, everything Democrats do, since Obama came into power.
So this is it. This is the flagship idea. We need to start in our local liberal states. We need to push for mandatory voting. If not in name, then in practice. We need to ratchet up the number of Americans who could vote. And we should allow democracy to be as representative as possible. Because in the end, when we look at polling, Americans agree on Medicare for all. They agree on gun regulation. They agree on unionization. They agree on a lot of things in foreign policy. 7 out of 10 Americans want Medicare for all, or a public option for healthcare. You know, there are so many things that Americans actually want that we don't get because we are not being heard. You know? And so this is it.
And then conservatives will point to that inefficacy and blame Democrats, which is their entire political strategy.
There will be an episode to come up, and we'll end here. There will be an episode to come up. I think it's episode 5 or 6, where we are going to be talking about members of the Republican Party openly admitting why they suppress the vote. Openly admitting that the number of people who vote, increasing the number of voters, is bad for them. These are people in power who are supposed to serve you, who are openly admitting that when you get politically involved, it is bad for them. And you have the audacity, dare I say, the ignorance or the stupidity, to think that you boycotting this election actually does a service. Vote, get your family to vote, get people to vote, but most importantly, you cannot out-organize political institutions. What you have to do, what we have to do...
I don't care how many times Aaron Paul fucking tweets.
Right. It doesn't matter. In the end, we need to pass laws forcing people who don't want to vote to vote. It is a democratic process, and your voice needs to be heard.
It took a fucking pandemic and probably one of the worst police brutality videos ever to circulate to get Joe Biden elected.
And only 68% of Americans voted.
And still only 68% of Americans voted.
Yeah.
Highest voter turnout in U.S. American history. Joe Biden has the most votes of any American president ever. The terrifying part about that is Donald Trump has the second.
Yeah. There is something to be said, which is that you either, if you want to live in a democracy, it is like a muscle. It is like a muscle. If you do not use it, you will lose it. And what my position is, and what my political strategy for returning to New Deal liberalism that includes all races in America, is that we should pass laws that in essence force people to use it. Because if we don't, we will lose it all. And that's all the time we have. This has been Libtards and Shai with Max and Monsoor. Join us again next week for an all-new episode, and please remember to like and subscribe on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Wherever you are and whenever you are, have a good morning, good evening, or good night. What?
Don't wait around till like after the credits. There's nothing weird there. Yo. You think Oprah gives good head?
Actually, I really think